Hello and welcome to I Watched It With My Wife, episode number 7. This week we are reviewing the Warner Brothers movie Wonder Woman, part of the DCEU. That stands for Detective Comics Expanded Universe. Yes, that is what it stands for. Despite what Sarah's laughing. This is from 2017, I believe, is when this movie was released. It was the third movie in the DCEU following Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice. Stars Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman and Chris Pine as Steve Trevor. And David Thewlis plays Ares, the God of War. So, Sarah, what did you think of Wonder Woman?
It was a little long, but overall I liked it. It was, 2 hours and how many minutes?
It's 2 hours and 21 minutes, but 11 minutes of that was credits, so probably about 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah, a little too long. We gotta work on, making these superhero movies just a little bit shorter.
Oh, just wait till you get to the Avengers movies.
How long are those? Am I gonna die?
Infinity War was 3.5 hours.
Oh, God.
Endgame was about 3.5 hours as well.
Okay, well, not...
But they are also wrapping up 22 movies of storytelling.
But, again, we gotta,
the origin stories need to be shorter. I agree with you there.
We gotta think about people's attention spans these days. And we need to make sure that we're remembering that the average person's attention span is not 3 hours long or 2 hours and 20 minutes long. It's very hard for me to stay focused on a movie for that long. That being said, I did enjoy the movie for the most part. I did feel like it was getting much into the backstory. Into the backstory is a little too much.
It moved faster than the last backstory we went through.
It did move faster, but it was I don't know. I felt like there was some things in the movie I feel like weren't necessary. That being said, it was overall a good movie. I loved how I love a strong female character. I love a strong female lead.
That's pretty much what Wonder Woman is by the name.
I know. And it's still, though, it's not common in superhero movies. You don't see women. Usually women in superhero movies are not the heroes.
Yeah, pretty much you have Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel, and that's it. Well, you're going to have Black Widow when that one finally comes out.
Yeah, but
another one delayed by COVID.
But it's refreshing to see that. It's good to see that because, it just is. And I liked that, to touch on the time period, what was the early 1900s? It was World War I,
That
correct?
was World War I. That was set around 1917.
Okay.
Time this movie
so most of the movie takes place during World War I.
Yeah, you have an opening scene and an ending scene in
modern times.
In modern times, set around her involvement immediately following Batman vs. Superman, leading into Justice League.
Yeah, and then you also have I don't know how long she was in the paradise, the goddess paradise for, but I felt like that had to be a very long time.
If I remember right, according to the comic books, she leaves there when she's 18.
Yeah, but I feel like 18 for a goddess is
yeah, I don't know what
a lot longer than our 18. But I don't know how all that works in superhero world.
She's definitely a lot smarter and stronger than your average 18-year-old.
Exactly.
If she's 18. Gal Gadot was clearly older than 18. I don't know how old this Wonder Woman is supposed to be when she leaves. I just think, if I remember right from the comics, she was 18.
I've never read the comics, so I can't go by that. But, no, I really liked, I don't know, I just liked that it was the woman who saved the day. The woman was the hero, and I liked that. She kicked ass. She was a fighter, and, I liked that you had the background of her being raised by strong women, and strong women produce strong women, and I think that that's a good thing. I think it's super important, especially her fighting and going into battle in the early 1900s when women were not allowed to do pretty much anything. I don't even think we were allowed to vote yet. So
Not in the U.S. Now, granted,
yeah,
the majority of the movie takes place in Europe. It takes place in the UK and then in Germany.
and I don't know that much about women's rights there in that time. I don't even think women were allowed to like own credit cards or houses or anything like that either.
I don't know what credit cards existed in the early.
I don't think that was really a thing till like the 60s, but women weren't able to own bank accounts at one point. So to see a woman like in a time period kicking ass is just a good thing.
Yeah, this is regarded by many to be the best film of the DCEU. There are some votes for Aquaman and some for Shazam as well. And I even work with a guy who says his favorite is Man of Steel. I don't know why. But, this is regarded as one of, if not the best. And it's easy to see why. It's not nonstop action, but it's filled
There's a
with
lot, yeah.
It's filled with action. The backstory doesn't take nearly as long as plenty of other backstories have.
Yeah.
Over the years, Gal Gadot does a great job as Wonder Woman. Chris Pine, he's the secret hero of the Hollywood Chris's. That's what I'm going to say. Marvel may have Pratt, Hemsworth, and Evans, but Chris Pine is the secret hero of the Hollywood
What
Chris's.
else has he been in?
He was in the Star Trek movies, which we saw one of those in theaters. He was in A Wrinkle in Time. He was in Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit. He was in The Finest Hours, which you can find on Disney Plus. He has been in a lot of movies to where you may not have seen the movies, but you'll see the title card when going through streaming services, and it's always got his picture on it because he's a good-looking man.
Yeah, I remembered him, but I just don't.
But I know you.
I recognized him from something. I just don't know what I recognized him from.
We saw the Star Trek reboot together in theaters in 2009 or 2010, and he starred as Captain Kirk in that. So I know you've seen him in that.
Maybe that's what I'm remembering him from. Did I fall asleep during that movie?
No, it's one of the few we didn't fall asleep from. You didn't fall asleep. And that was the one, if you remember, we had been talking about Star Wars and you kept messing up lightsaber as glow sword. And we went to see Star Trek and you're like, isn't it the same thing? And I'm like, no. And then in one scene, a guy pulls out this little, handheld thing. You think a knife's going to come out and this long ass sword comes out and you're like, that's so much cooler than a glow sword.
Real swords are cooler than the glow swords. I'm sorry, but they are.
It is a lightsaber, but we're off topic now.
Yeah, we're way off topic now. We're debating Star Wars and Star
Trek instead of Wonder Woman.
Yeah, no. We need to get out of that topic, please. For the love of God, get me out of that topic. Back onto Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman, honestly,
way better.
On this podcast, we reviewed Captain America: The First Avenger. This is a better version of the same movie, if you think about it.
I mean, well, no, because World War II, World War I, different.
That's the difference.
Similar enemies, but different.
But a super-powered person coming in to help the Allies against the Germans, who are being led by a super villain behind the scenes that's manipulating the war.
Well, Captain America, the superpower that he got was manufactured.
True.
He didn't naturally have the superpower.
No.
Wonder Woman naturally had the superpower. She's a goddess.
Yes.
And also, the backstory on Captain America that movie was not that great. It just took so long for things to happen.
But now you're comparing
I'm
plotting.
Comparing story. Yeah, plotting.
But my point is, if you look at the key points of the story, they're kind of the same movie.
They're similar, but the story itself is better for Wonder Woman because the story goes. They're not just like telling you what happened way back then to set up 15 other movies in the same franchise, which isn't necessary either.
Actually, that's what they were trying to do. It's just the DCEU.
In Wonder Woman?
Yeah, well, in all of the DCEU, was trying to do the same as the MCU. It just flamed out.
Well, yeah, but they did a better job of getting the story across, getting the point across, moving it along, getting the things.
They did a better job in Wonder Woman. They didn't do a better job in the DCEU in
general.
I
haven't seen the other movies. I'm only comparing this movie to Captain America. I'm not comparing series to series.
But that was my point, though, is that this is a better version of Captain America, is what I said.
Well, yes, but I wouldn't consider the movies even on the same level or even the same because it's a completely different story. It is.
I told you the plot points. They're kind of
Two
the
different
same.
wars.
Two different wars.
Manufacturers versus natural superpowers. Not really. I disagree. Uh-oh.
You're allowed to
Dun, dun,
disagree, but I
dun.
kind of pointed out how it is exactly the same
But I
movie.
pointed out how it's different.
Yes, there will always be differences. Let me put it like this: if the rest of the DCEU were like Wonder Woman, it would have done a lot better.
But there's always going to be similarities too.
There is always going to be similarities.
We're
Stories,
both right and we're both wrong, Jeremy. Just admit it.
origin stories always have the same problem that you kind of have to go into a lot of backstory.
Yeah, but Wonder Woman, there wasn't as much backstory.
Not
The
as much
only
as
thing
Captain
I
America.
didn't get why we had to hear the backstory of the guy.
We didn't hear the backstory of the guy. We had the backstory of the war to set up why she needed to leave. We didn't hear his backstory. We knew nothing about him other than
a little bit.
Then he was an American serving serving in Europe with the British as a spy in a German outfit.
Yeah, but they didn't have to get into the whole thing. They could have just tied him up with a rope, have him told the truth, and that's it.
He did tell the truth. That's what happened.
2 minutes. 2-minute backstory. That's all he needed.
That was about all he got.
No, it felt like it was longer.
It was only about 2 to 3 minutes.
Because I remember getting like, okay, we're learning way too much about this guy.
This one also had a lot better, was a lot funnier in the quips in it. You're thinking back now.
Yeah, I'm thinking back. If anything, I thought anything was really funny. Not really.
Remember the one where she beat up the guy in there, and the one guy turns around and says, "I am both frightened and aroused."
Well, yeah, there was a couple little.
I just said it. It was funnier.
Funny jokes, but I didn't think it was funny.
No, it's not Guardians of the Galaxy or Ant-Man where it's trying to be funny, but it was funnier than Captain America. Was my point. All right, well, you haven't seen the rest of the DCEU.
No, so I can't comment on it.
So we can't really compare that here. We will be trying to watch some more DCEU movies before our HBO Max subscription runs out because we don't know how long we're going to have it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's move on to Sarah's segment, Snacks with Sarah.
So tonight's snack, we got a little lazy, but it's one of my favorite snacks. It's Takis, like the original Takis in Fuego. With hell of a good dip. French onion, hell of a good dip. All right, I don't know if you've ever tried the hell of a good dip before, but they're super good. They're my favorite line of dips. I don't even make my own. I just go for the hell of a good. And yeah, I like dipping my Takis because sometimes they get a little too hot with the hell of a good dip. And then I just had my go-to wine tonight, a glass of pink Moscato. Actually, I don't even think, did I have a glass? No, yeah, I had half a glass of wine and a bottle of water, and that was my snack. And Jeremy, what did you drink?
I had a Cider Boys. It was the apple and strawberry mix, I believe.
Okay.
Hard cider. I'm a big fan of the Cider Boys brand. If you can find it, take it.
Yeah, they're a little harder to find than some of the mainstream brands like the Angry Orchard and the
Reds. But if you can find a Cider Boys, they're really good.
I feel like they're less carbonated.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all right. But that's our snacks with Sarah.
All right, and so Sarah, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rank Wonder Woman?
I would give it.
Throwback to the 70s series starring Linda Carter there.
I've never seen that.
Neither have I, but I have heard the Wonder Woman.
I guess this is going to be the podcast where Sarah tells you she's never seen it. I would rank this probably a 6, maybe a 7. Between a 6 and 7. I liked it a lot better than Captain America. I know it's a completely different franchise. I understand that.
But you're comparing superhero movie, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm comparing, and they do have a similar storyline. I agree with you, but the storylines are very different as well. There's similarities and differences, of course, but I liked this one a lot better than Captain America because the flow of the story was better. There was just more action from the beginning. There was more, even though there was backstory and it was long. I think it was longer than Captain America, wasn't it?
It might have been. I don't remember.
I'm not sure, but it was pretty long, but there was still like a lot of things that happened that were interesting things. So I'm going to give this one, I liked this one better. That, and also I love a strong female character. I love a strong female lead. I feel like there's not much of that in Hollywood. Like we're getting better, but I still want more.
All right. I give this one a 9. This is peak DCEU of the movies I've seen. I still have not seen Aquaman or Shazam yet. I need to check those out. But this is like the peak of the DCEU, and I really want DC to live up to the hype. Marvel has some great movies along the way, and I love the MCU. But I grew up paying more attention to DC Comics characters. I cared more about Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, those characters, than I did the Marvel characters outside of Spider-Man. I love what Marvel's been able to do. It's excellent. I want DC to succeed. And this was DC truly succeeding at making a great movie. It's not something I think they did with the rest of their expanded universe.
Well, I think if they keep the backstory shorter and they get to the action and they keep the action flowing, I think that they're good movies. But if they keep making long backstories, I think they need to just cut these movies down a little bit. I think they can tell the story without all the extra.
Yeah, and that's where Marvel succeeded in their sequels, because you don't have to do the backstory. You can get right into the action. And that's why I loved the sequels to Captain America much better than the actual Captain America. I loved the sequels to Ant-Man and to Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm looking forward to Black Panther 2. I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange 2. The only series that's sequels didn't succeed were Iron Man's. Thor 3 was the best of the Thor movies. Marvel succeeded in that. DC, I don't know how they did on that specifically, mostly because most of their films didn't get a sequel. Wonder Woman's the first one to get a true sequel. And that reminds me that we will be reviewing Wonder Woman 1984 in our next episode. Let's go ahead and knock it out of the way. It just came out on Christmas Day on HBO Max. No, the sequel to Wonder Woman is called Wonder Woman 1984.
Oh.
So instead of being set during World War I, it's set during 1984.
Oh, okay. So a year before I was born. Cool.
All right. But that will wrap up this episode of I Watched It With My Wife. Check out our other podcasts. We have Caregiver Chronicles. I Listened With My Wife is a new one we have out, where we review music. Our son has a podcast, Racing with Remy, where he reviews racing. He goes over the past series, and he watches old races and gives you a nice little retro review.
And I Listen With My Wife is exclusively on Spotify and Anchor only. It will not be on other platforms, just those two. But if you have Spotify Premium, you can hear the full version of the songs that we review.
Yes, it's due to music rights.
Yes.
And an agreement between Anchor and Spotify that allows us to use clips from those songs. And like Sarah said, if you do have a premium Spotify Premium account, you can hear the whole song, not just the clips.
But we want to know, what did you think of Wonder Woman? Do you like Marvel better than DC? Which series is superior? And do you agree with me or Jeremy on, is Captain America and Wonder Woman the same story or not? Let us know in our social media pages, or through our email, or through our website, withmywifepod.com.
Yeah, our email is withmywifepod@gmail.com. And then our social media, I Watched It With My Wife, is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
We'd love to hear from you, hear your opinions on these movies, and what other superhero movies should we review? We're up for suggestions. So.
Absolutely. But that's it for this week. We'll see you next time. Bye.